A very good morning to each and everyone. So we're going to do a very quick video on Wipro NLTH orientation program. So NLTH is national level talent hunt that is organized every year by Wipro to get the best of the talent from across the nation into their organization. Now, the first thing that comes into the mind of students as soon as they hear the terms like national level talent hunt or national qualifier test, they think that the paper is going to be very, very difficult. First perception, paper is going to be very difficult. But that is not the case at all, which is why I'm here with these videos to tell you what are the portions that we need to focus on and what kind of questions are going to come up. First thing, let's talk about the recruitment pattern, what the pattern is. So the whole process is actually a three-step process. First is an online test, which is a written exam, followed by a technical interview and a HR interview. Next, if I talk about the section-wise pattern, there are going to be three main sections in that written exam that we have. So first is going to be a aptitude test. That is logical ability, quants, and verbal ability. All of that together, you're going to get 48 minutes to solve the whole thing, followed by a written communication test, that is a essay writing test. So you'll have to write one essay in particular number of words, particular time duration. The time is 20 minutes. And a online programming test of two questions, where the two questions will be of coding. You will be given 60 minutes to do that. Next thing, if I talk about the section wise pattern, that is number of questions and total time for each section, it is as follows. So verbal ability, you're going to have 22 questions that needs to be solved in 18 minutes, followed by logical reasoning, 14 questions, 14 minutes, quantitative aptitude, 16 questions, 16 minutes, essay writing, just one simple essay needs to be written in 20 minutes, and coding, two simple codes need to be coded within 60 minutes. Next, the syllabus. So quants, topics that can come and that are going to come. This is actual syllabus of Wipro NLTH. So syllabus for quants, that is quantitative aptitude, is first thing, number system. Next, time and work, time, speed and distance, permutations, logs, percentage, ratio, ages, profit and loss, mixtures, certs, indices, everything. So whatever we can think with respect to quants, all the major topics, they're going to come up in the exam. Next, if we talk about verbal ability, so verbal ability is basically two portions. One is a grammatical portion, next is a vocabulary portion. So grammar is containing all the important things like active voices, passive voices, tense, proportions, articles, pronouns, modifiers, parallelism, everything in grammar would be covered, followed by vocabulary, where it can be of two types, that is word based and contextual based. So, word based is basically synonyms, antonyms, analogy, idioms, phrases, and contextual or reasoning, it's actually reading comprehension and parajumble, followed by a logical reasoning portion. So, logical reasoning will have all the logics involved, all the topics that have some logic in them, like coding, decoding, selection, data sufficiency, data interpretation, data arrangement, blood relations, then logical sequence, clocks, statements, inequalities, all the topics of logics involved. Okay, now followed by coding. So coding, it's going to be little easy because in code you will have a choice of your language, so you can choose any language out of C, C++, Java and Python, and code the two questions that are going to be given to you, along with mastery of some topics like array, strings, decision making, looping and functions is also required. Okay, our objective for today is to look at some of the verbal ability questions that have come up in previous years of Wipro NLTH. Now, the thing that you must have noticed in the beginning of the video, so verbal ability, there you're not going to have one question in 1 minute. Like for rest of the sections, logical and aptitude, it was one question, 1 minute. But for verbals, it is not going to be that case. Verbals, there are more number of questions. There are actually 22 questions that needs to be solved in 18 minutes. So I need to be very quick and I need to have a very good command over my English so that I can solve maximum questions in that time duration. And obviously, verbals, they are always a win-win situation because they take less time, first thing. Second, usually the questions are on a very easy scale of understanding. So the difficulty level of overall verbal section, it's easy to moderate. Not much moderate questions are also there. Most of the questions are on an easy scale of difficulty. Let's look at the first question. Because the topics are like articles or fill in the blanks or grammar involved or active voices, passive voices, synonyms, antonyms, it's very easy to figure out. Okay, first question. Fill in the blanks with most suitable articles. Now, articles is not a very difficult topic to crack on. If you know what the rules of articles are, within 20-30 seconds, you'll be able to get the answer. So, dash ignorance is a bliss, and dash ignorance of Miranda was very astounding. So, I need two articles. So, articles are either A and the that are going to filled up here. So, dash ignorance is a bliss. Now, this clearly states that I'm not going to use any article there because the article options is also that I can use either A and the or no article. So, dash ignorance is a bliss. I'm not going to use the ignorance. I'm not going to use a ignorance because ignorance that we're talking about here, it's an abstract noun. And abstract nouns don't require any articles. But when you talk about the second ignorance, here also it's an abstract noun, but now it is talking about something specific, that is ignorance of Miranda, ignorance of someone that is specific, a person. Okay, so my answer in that case is going to be the ignorance of Miranda was astounding. Now, if I match the option, which option should be the answer? I can see my answer is option B. Okay, so this question was easier to figure out. Let's go to the next one. Next question. Okay. Now, in the following questions, an idiomatic expression or a proverb has been given, followed by some alternatives. Choose the one which best expresses the meaning of the given idiom or the proverb. Okay. So I have a proverb and I need to guess what the meaning of the proverb is out of the given options. First, to turn over a new leaf. Okay. Now this seems like starting a new chapter or something. So I have to find out an option that needs to give me something that is starting a new option, new chapter, or doing something positive or something of that sort. Let's look at the options. First option, to change completely one's course of action. Okay. Next, to shift attention to new problems after having studied the old ones thoroughly. Now, to turn over a new leaf is something like where you have to begin with a new chapter of your life. Next, to cover up one's fault by wearing new mask. This becomes totally irrelevant. To change the old habits and adopt new ones. All right, this is possible. So my answer out of all of these, it becomes option D, that is to change the old habits and adopt new ones. That is to turn over a new leaf, leave whatever is there behind in your life and start over with something new. That is to turn over a new life. Next one. Okay, read each part to find out whether there is any grammatical error in it. The error, if any, will be in one part of the statement. Okay, so all of these together, they're going to form a statement. If there is some error, we mark that. Otherwise, if there is no error, we give D as the option and we have to ignore the punctuations if there are any. So you cannot say that the error is of punctuation. No, the error is in words or sense of the statement that is being used. Okay, now let's figure out. An animal can be just as unhappy in a vast area or in a small one and no error. Okay, so can just be as unhappy in a vast area and there needs to be a comparison. So need to have a comparison in the C1. So it will not be or in a small one, it will be as in a small one. So it is very clear that the error is in part C, that is as in a small one, not or in a small one. My answer becomes C. Now, this becomes very clear since the last 3-4 questions that I have done. It becomes very clear that questions are not very time consuming. I can do all of them within seconds and get my answer only if I have the correct knowledge of the topics, correct understanding of the language. Next one. Okay, now this is sentence is given either in active or passive voice, and I have to change. If it is an active voice, I have to make it passive voice. If it is passive, I have to make it active. So whichever sense of the statement is given, I have to make it in the other sense. Active needs to be converted to passive, passive needs to be converted to active. Let's read the statement. So Mona was writing a letter to her father. This is clearly a active voice statement. It needs to go to passive voice. So passive voice will be subject object interchange. So object is a letter comes first. Okay, everywhere it's letter. Was written. So was written converts to was being written. Okay, now let's figure out where is was being written. Okay, there's one option that states was being written. See. Now I add a by and then I add the previous subject that was there, that becomes my new object. So written by Mona, and the later part of the statement, that is to her father. Okay, so when you combine all of that, my answer becomes a letter was being written by Mona to her father. My answer is simply option C. No difficulty in converting active to passives. Next one. Select the synonym of innocuous. Okay, I need to have the synonym of innocuous. So, innocuous means something that is not harmful or offensive. So, something that is not harmful. That is what innocuous means. Now, when we look at all the options, looking at all the options, I can find that only synonym, only word that means something that is not harmful is the word harmless. Therefore, it becomes my option. My answer is option B, harmless. Next one. So, in the following statement, the sentence gives the blanks that needs to be filled with an appropriate word, and I have some options. So, select the best alternative that is going to come up here. That is what the simple question is stating. Okay, now let's look at the statement. This shirt is so dirty that it dash be cleaned. Okay, first instinct goes to couldn't be cleaned. First instinct, first answer goes to couldn't be cleaned. But let me tell you something. This statement is so dirty, that is, it is given in present tense. But when you talk about couldn't is a verb of past tense. Could is past of can. So I need to have a statement, I need to have a word that is in present tense here. I cannot use it in past tense. Otherwise, my parallelism will be violated. So my answer is not going to be couldn't. Mayn't is not a word at all. Didn't is again past tense. The only word that is of present tense is can't, which is why my answer is can't. And it is already said that it is so dirty that it is beyond being cleaned. It could not be cleaned. My answer becomes option A, can't be cleaned. Parallelism needs to be followed. So it is not just one concept, multiple concepts are checked in every question. Next, okay. So join these parts to make a meaningful sentence and then give the correct order in which the statement is formed. Very simple. So I have 5 parts. A statement is divided into 5 parts and they are numbered. So I have to arrange it to form a complete meaningful sentence. So obviously I can figure out that the statement is going to begin with Nita. It is not going to begin with medicine. So Nita was given a medicine. Sequence becomes 3, 4, 5. Nita was given. Okay, so 3, 5, 4, 2, and 1. That is when we match the option, it's E. My answer becomes 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. Nita was given a medicine. Very simply, I got my answer. Next one. Okay, identify the object in the following statement. So I have a statement. I need to identify what the adjective is. So adjectives are something that give the speciality of the noun that we're talking about. Linda McKenzie, already a noun. Children is also a noun. Now has here is used for tense of verb. Used for verb it is, and describing my tense. I just have a word that is remaining is 5. I also know adjectives, they give me the speciality of the noun or the pronoun that we're talking about. Also, they are used for expressing numbers. So, the adjective here, it's not Linda, it's not has, it's not children, it's option C, 5. Telling me how many children she has. So, she has 5 children. Simply, my answer becomes 5. Next one, identify the preposition in the given statement. So I have to identify preposition. All right. So kids is noun, the is article, are sitting is for verb, the is again article, block is again noun. Only word that remains a preposition. Preposition is going to basically show me the relation of noun with other parts of the statement. Only word that shows relation of noun with other part of the statement is around. My answer becomes option B. Next one. So, in the question, 4 alternatives are given. Choose the one which can be substituted for given word or statement. Now, this we have done a lot in our childhood. We used to be given a statement and we have to figure out just one word that could be used instead of the whole statement. So, one word that could be used instead of extremely old age when a man behaves like a fool. Okay, so it's used for extremely old age when a man is going to behave like a fool. That is what we have to find out. Now, if you look at the options, there is imbecility, then there is dotage, senility, superannuation. Now, imbecility is, although it is used for stupid action, but it does not mean that the person has to be old aged. A youngster can also be imbecile, not stable. Okay, again, dotage means when the person is very old and weak. But if you're very old and weak, does not mean you're going to behave like a fool. Not possible. Senility is a word that I used for a old aged person who has some mental disorders, who cannot think properly, who cannot behave properly. So that is when I use senility. So I'm going to use option C as my answer, because that is what it is extremely showing, that a person who is in its old age and having a mental disturbance. My answer becomes C, senility. Next one. All right, now this is a close passage. This is a close passage or close test, whatever you want to call it. It is not CLOSE, it's CLOZE. So, what we mean by a close test is I'm going to have a passage and I'm going to have different blanks throughout the passage. Now, all of those blanks will be numbered in some sequence. So, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 blanks here and I have numbered them as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, it's not necessary that the question is going to ask you all the 4 blanks. They maybe out of all the 4 blanks they will ask you what is the answer for blank number 1, what is the answer for blank number 3. Maybe they can ask you all the 4, maybe they can ask you one or two only. So closed passage is basically the whole passage given to you, and out of that, what should come up on these blanks according to the story that is followed out in that passage, that is what we have to do. All right, now let's read the passage and I have to find the answer of blank one. So boil the mixture of sugar and water to a wide pan, all right, to make a smooth dough. Dash the cheese well. So I need to knead the cheese well. So option that is used for knead is, okay, there is knit, not possible. Knitting, not possible. So knit is used for actually clothes. I don't knit edibles together. I knead edibles together. So my answer becomes option A, knead. Very easy. I got my answer. Next, okay. Again, another question is given from the same passage. That is the answer of blank 2 needs to be find out. Right, now let's move forward. So take a small portion of chena mixture to roll, dash should be tiny and not big. Okay, so I need to take some mixture, and specialty of the mixture is given that it should be tiny and not very big. So one word that I will use here out of the options is not whose, not when, not where, but which. That is talking about that mixture, how that mixture should be. It should be tiny and not big. My answer becomes D, which. All right, now these type of questions, so it's a lot of times we just take our spellings for granted. We don't pay a lot of attention to to all the spellings that we have, but these spellings, they come in many national qualified tests, many national level talent hunt examinations. They will give you options and they'll try to figure out how good you are with your written communication. So to figure out your written communication, they'll give you which of the spellings are correct, and they'll give different versions of the same spelling. We need to figure out which is the properly spelled words out of the given. Okay, so from here I can make out they're asking me the spelling of baffling. So baffling is BAFFLING. Let's look at the option. Do I have somewhere BAFFLING? Okay, A is wrong. B is also wrong. Second option is also wrong. It's FLL. No, not possible. Third is double AF. No, I need a double F. So double F is in option 4. My answer becomes the fourth option, that is BAFFLING. All right. Another question where I have to form out the correctly spelled word out of the given options. Okay, one thing I can figure out, they're asking me the spelling of anonymous. Okay, anonymous is ANONYMOUS. Looking for an option that has the correct spelling. It's not A. I have to look for MOUS. Okay, MOUS here, MOUS here also. Anonymous does not begin with U, it begins with A. My answer becomes option B. Very simply, my answer becomes option B. Next one. Okay, now this is a very important question. Where they're asking me, there is two statements, S1 and S6, and the statements between S1 and X6, they are jumbled. I have to arrange these sentences to form a coherent passage. What we mean by coherent passages, when you read it from S1 to S6, it is going to form a passage that has a complete meaning. So we are looking for that. We're looking to arrange all of them in a way so that S1 going on to PQRS, whatever the sequence would be, and going on to S6, they're going to form a complete, meaningful passage. That is what the objective is. Okay, now if I look at S1, S1 is I saw two men at the train station. So it's talking about two men. S6 is the second one waited for his wife later. Okay. Now something happened, seeing from the seeing of two men at the station, and the second one waited for the wife later. Let's look at the statements. So both of them went to the coffee shop together. Obviously not the first one. The first one was holding an umbrella. Okay. The second one was holding a bag. Okay. After coffee, one of them left the coffee shop. So it's like I saw two men, then I gave the description of two men, what they were doing, and then the conclusion was the second one waited for the shop. Right. Now, when I give the conclusion, I'll talk about the first person first. So, first one, that is the first one was holding an umbrella. This becomes our first statement. Second statement becomes the second one was holding a bag. This becomes my second statement. Now, with this only, my sequence becomes QR. Look at the options. Do I have somewhere QR? Yes, I have option B as QR. Now, next one is both of them went to the coffee shop together. This is going to be the third one. Now, after drinking coffee, what happened? One of them left. Okay, fourth is one of them left, and the second one waited for the wife. Obviously, in the sequence, it is followed up. Coherent passage is also formed. My answer becomes QRPS. Answer is simply option B, QRPS. Next one. Okay. So, which part of the statement has an error? Mark the options accordingly. Now, this whole statement is divided into different parts, and every part of the statement is written in the options. One of them is going to have an error. Which part is the error? That is what we are looking for. Now, Akash crouched towards directly in front of the cabinet, his face only inches away from the glass. Now, one thing I know that with crouched, I don't use towards. With crouched, I use always down. So Akash crouched down directly in front of the cabinet, his face only inches away from the glass. So the part that has error simply becomes option A. That is Akash crouched towards. It's not crouched towards, it's always crouched down directly in front of the cabinet. Answer is option A. Next one. Select the most appropriate antonym of the given word. I have to go for antonyms. Very important thing regarding synonyms and antonyms is I'm always going to have options that are very close to each other in the options. Sanctimonious is showing a hypocritic division or a hypocritic show off of uh, doing a lot of things for the god. So it's like I'm showing off my respect for God. Like I respect God, but I'm doing it a little extra. I obviously respect God, but I want to show to people that, oh, I respect God a lot. So I'll do maybe some extra things. Maybe I'll do a lot of donation where I could have just donated 10 rupees. I'll donate 100 rupees. I'll organize big fairs. I will do a lot of other things that are required for God, just trying to show off the respect for God. Okay, now look at the antonym of the given word. I need to have some antonyms of the given word. Devote is again showing respect for the God. Okay. Empirical, if I talk about empirical, what is the meaning of this word empirical? Empirical is uh, analysis. It's just analysis of the emotions. Next, if we talk about modeling, modeling is just breaking down in in your arguments or having a very emotional front. If we talk about impious, impious means showing lack of respect for God. So impious is no respect for God or showing lack of respect or maybe disrespecting God. I need an antonym of respect for the God. I know respect for God, antonym is no respect for God. My answer becomes simply option B. That is impious. Next one. Okay, I need a synonym for massacre. What can be the synonym for massacre? I told you already, in these type of questions, the options are going to be very, very close to each other. I know massacre is killing. When you look at the options, all of these options, murder, stab, slaughter, assassinate, are related to killing only. But one thing that is very special about massacre is it's mass killing. It's not just any normal killing, it's mass killing, killing a lot of people at the same time. Okay, murder is of one person. Stabbing also will do one person at the same time. Assassinate is killing of one person. But if you talk about slaughter, slaughter is another word for mass killing. Slaughter is done for masses. A lot of people killed at the same time, very barbarically. It's called a slaughter. So my answer becomes option C, that is slaughter.